Hello, hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. It's Relationship Monday, and our topic for today is regaining intimacy during and after a cancer diagnosis. We are live on Intellectual Radio. We just heard from the Drive Fi with Roman. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio. Allow us to feed your brain. On the last episode of Warriors Talk, I spoke with Dee Dee Davis and we talked about turning pain into purpose. Go over to YouTube, type in Intellectual Radio, stay connected for any episodes you may have missed. The quote of the day is never be ashamed of a scar. It simply means you were stronger than what tried to kill you. We are grateful for our sponsor. We have Emanuel Church of God in Christ with Pastor Michael Richardson, who has a special message for us.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emanuel C.O.G.I.C at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emanuel C.O.G.I.C-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson. And we're from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
Here are your trending topics for today. The number of people killed in Florida by Hurricane Ian rose to at least 100 today, after the storm made landfall at Category 4 strength, desecrating coastal towns and leaving rescue searching for survivors, while the communities faced the daunting task of rebuilding. Now that the skies have cleared, many people who took shelter while the hurricane was raging have emerged, many of them still without power or drinking water, came to find their community unrecognizable. Some residents and businesses in the storm damaged counties may not be back on the grid for weeks or months because of structural damage caused by the hurricane. Those are your trending topics for today. I have one announcement, which is our 6th annual Survivors Night of Reflection Gala taking place on Saturday, October the 22nd at the Crystal Sky Banquet Hall located at 41 West 47th Street in McCook, Illinois. And we will be celebrating all survivors on this night. We will crown a Survivor of the Year. We are giving awards away for the Caregiver of the Year, Community Service, and also the Warrior in Battle. And the Warrior in Battle is an individual who needs financial assistance. So on that night, we will be awarding a Warrior in Battle. This event is free for all survivors. So if you are a survivor of cancer, this event is free for you. If you are a non-survivor, then your cost is $40. We are a non-for-profit organization, 501(c)(3). So you can, once you donate, write it off on your taxes. All right, joining me today, co-hosting is none other than cancer activist, motivational speaker, and the founder of the Gala Foundation, Rizal Gilmore. Hey, Rizal.
Hey, Lady ReShell. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm a little sad today. A little sad. Today would have been my mother's 90th birthday. And even though she didn't pass away from cancer, I've watched her over the years in her battle, old age, dementia. But it leads into a segue of what we have here tonight, because, dementia, one of the things caused by dementia is worrying. And my mother used to worry a lot about other people and not worry about herself. So, worrying, we know, is also a cause of cancer as well. It helps stress, worry, all of that stuff plays a part into it. So, it's been a day, especially this morning, day of reflection, but I'm happy for the journey and the time because as, again, her caretaker, I watched her through the process, but, it's, as she would say, it's something that we all must do one day. So.
Wow. Yeah, I saw the pictures that you were posting on your page, and I was like, oh, wow. Because I just remember you talking about your mom all the time and just being the one that's taking care of her. So I know that's taken a lot out of you, especially on today, with
Right.
what would have been her 90th birthday. And I'm grateful that God blessed her with some long years.
89.
Wow.
And, people like people aren't seeing those ages like how our parents used to see anymore. So, yes, he definitely blessed her with some wonderful years.
Yes. Awesome. And I'm sure you're going to make sure that her legacy lives on. So,
Oh, definitely. I mean, she left a legacy of her own. You got to think. This one was born in 1932. Can you imagine what she's seen since 1932 and everything what she went through and living in the South?
wow.
She was from a small town called Riceville, Georgia. So I could just imagine. I've heard some of the stories, things she used to tell me. So I this generation just ain't built for it like how it was back then. So she definitely was a strong woman.
Wow. Well, we are happy to share her legacy with you on today. Thank you for joining in, Kendra. I appreciate you. Hey, Angela. Angela said, what an absolute blessing.
Oh, thank you, Angela.
Yes, mothers, parents are a blessing. All right, you guys, we're going to jump right into our topic regaining intimacy during and after a cancer diagnosis. And I want to say this is kind of like a touchy subject in a way. I feel like the cancer community really don't dive deep into this subject for some reason. Or maybe it's just from what I'm seeing, like we don't like to share about the intimacy part, the issues that we're having and how we're having to cope with it, overcome it, or just live with it.
That's because nobody want to talk about it. Even with people who are diagnosed with cancer, they don't even want to tell people that they've been diagnosed with cancer. Like it's a badge of shame or something that, they have cancer. So that's one of the issues right there. What I always say, two things: knowing is half the battle, and who you're surrounded by. Those are the two things.
Yes. I I was reading as I was doing a research, and there was a lady talking about like she was dating this guy, and she was trying to figure out like when do you have the conversation with him about cancer? Like, should I tell him up front, or since we're just dating and it's not nothing serious, do I just keep this to myself because it's going to be a host of questions coming behind, once you let the cat out of the bag, especially when it's not obvious.
I think you should definitely tell that person right up front because there's going to be days that you're not feeling well, especially if you're doing chemotherapy. There are going to be times when you're not feeling or looking so hot, to yourself. So I think you should definitely let this person know so they can be prepared and let them make their decision, if this is something that they want to deal with or help support you with.
Angela said, you're absolutely right. No one wants to talk about neither of the two. I don't know. I don't know if I would say right up front. Kenya says, well, for me, I can say that I was embarrassed and ashamed to let anyone know that she had cancer. And she couldn't even type it on there. She just put the little dot, the little dashes. I agree with Kenya because for some reason there is a shame that comes along with you have cancer. It's almost like, people look at you like, what did you do? You did something to get this disease. And they look at you in this pity way, like, oh, what happened? Oh, you're gonna be all right. You could fight it, you could do it. And then they continue and tell you all the people they know that died from cancer. So I don't know if I will reveal it. If I'm just talking to somebody, if we're at the beginning stages of talking, I probably won't say, I probably won't even bring it up unless I know that we're getting serious and we're getting to like that 3 month mark. But if we're just actually just dating, I probably wouldn't say anything.
3 months. So you're going to wait 3 months before you tell this person.
I trust me. If we're just dating, if we're having conversations, eventually, if we're having deep conversations, it should come out in a conversation. But I'm not just gonna jump right out. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I have breast cancer and the chemo, radiation, and surgery. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not going to do that. No.
So let me just try to understand, because just about all survivors are proud to be survivors, but people who have cancer aren't proud to be going through the, going through the struggle.
When I was going through, I was already dating somebody when I was going through my cancer battle. So I wasn't out there. If I wasn't with anybody, I probably would not have dated anybody until I was done with treatment and everything, because it wouldn't have been my focus. My focus would have been on my healing, not trying to date somebody that would just take away from, me focusing on what I'm asking God for. And then I'm over here fornicating, asking him to heal me. No. So now, out of the battle, I'm dating. Again, I'm not, if we're just dating, if we're just going out on dates, which means we're collecting data, we going to eat, we may go to a movie, it hasn't gotten physical yet. I'm not going to right up front say I'm not.
So after, I know well, let me just say, if there's a 90-day rule that's in place, are you going to wait till the 90 days to tell this person?
I don't
Like,
deal
oh,
with
here's the
that.
surprise, because they need to understand, if things are getting, let's just say after 3 months it's getting hot and heated, they need to understand, like, they're going to ask, what's wrong? Why are we not going to third base? Or why are we not taking this thing home? And why are we not closing the deal? We're here. We see each other every day. We talk every day. It's like we're like borderline relationship, but
Why are we
there's something
closing
that's
this
holding you back.
90 days? Why are we closing the deal in 90 days? Why does it have to be? I mean, it's different. So it's different for every relationship. So it depends on how the relationship is going. For me, I would not disclose up front. I just wouldn't, because I don't know. Right now I'm interviewing you. I'm vetting you. I'm in the process of seeing if I want you to be around, if you can handle this information. Everybody can't. Everybody has their own agenda, and they're there for a reason. Kenya said, and then when you tell people, they give you a death sentence. Mm.
Right then and there.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I do. They look at you with the deer in the headlights, and like I said, then they start remembering everybody that they know that had cancer, and they want to tell you what happened to them. Kenya says, "Tell me that's too personal to share with somebody." I think it's if we just met and you just asked me out on a date, I'm not going to disclose it to you. I'm not. I don't have to. Now, if I was HIV positive, if we're just dating and it's not sexual, I probably wouldn't either. Until if we're going to take it to the next level, then I'd be like, hey, look, yeah. But I'm not just going to have this thing on my forehead. I'm HIV positive. Hey, I got cancer. No, I'm not going to do that.
That first, hello, how you doing? That right there, that's the first step of, I want to get into your pants.
Right.
That
I mean, on
first
both
hello,
parties.
that's what that is.
And that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. We're sexual beings. God made us to be fruitful and multiply. So that's human, right? That's the human side of us. That's the fleshy side of us. I don't have an issue with that. I'm talking about for people who actually want to date and get to know the person first before just trying to hop in my pants. I'm talking about genuinely trying to get to know somebody to see if this is a person I want to date, if this is a person I want to take to the next level, if this is a person I want to get sexual with.
Okay. I could take that.
Yeah. Because believe me, you're going to have, you don't, this just it's added stress. It's added stress for you to be, especially if you're dating. And we already know, like last week we talked to Dee Dee and she was engaged. She had a fiance. Her fiance found her lump. And then once she got the diagnosis, got everything verified, and he was pushing her to, go, get it, find out what's going on. Once she got it verified, she said she came home and his bags was packed. And he said, I can't do the hospital thing. I can't do it. He couldn't do it. He couldn't deal with the sickness. No, Before she even got sick, before she even went into treatment, he was out of there.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And they had been together, I think she said 2 years, and he grew close to her son. He was out of there. But in a way, I kind of commend him for just getting out of there right away versus him not being present while she's going through it. And then she complaining that, oh, he's not helping me, he's not present. I would rather him leave at the beginning, get out of there. So, it takes the weight off of her and him and himself being honest with himself that he knew he couldn't handle it. Now, God forbid if he gets sick and somebody got to take care of him and go to the hospital. I mean.
Hey, karma is real. What goes around comes around. Best believe. I mean, I understand no, I can't say I understand his reasoning for, leaving, because we're all here to serve and help one another, especially if that's been a partner of yours for 2+ years or whatever the case is. I'm not just going to up and leave you after all the foundation that now we laid, and it's been a smooth plateau. And the only thing from there is up. And I see you're being down. No, that wasn't the direction that we were going in. So if he was a true partner, if he was really in it, then, the partnership needs balance. When you're up and I'm down, you carry me. When I'm down and you're up, I carry you. Whatever, how that, you know what I mean? But that right there was just, that was a sucker move.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
I think that there are not a lot of men out there, Rizal, that's gonna stick around for sickness. It's not. It's not a lot. So you're probably one of the exceptions to the rule that actually stuck in there with your wife through everything. A lot of men don't. A lot of men may be present. They may be there in the physical. Mentally, they're not there. Mentally, they're not helping. They're not there. A lot of cancer survivors that I've talked to say their partners left in the middle of them getting treatment, in the middle of they left. And because men are visual. Think about it. You guys are visual. And especially if you are not in love with this person, if you don't have a connection with this person, to where you really believe if you took those vows through sickness and in health, if you don't have that connection with that person, when something happens, you like, oh, I'm out of here. You about to lose your hair? Oh no. You about to get down to how you about to lose some weight. Oh, that's, men don't want to see that. They at home looking at you with your bald head. You ain't got no breasts. Then they go to work. The women got full of hair. She got boobies, butt, everything. Like that's a lot. That's a lot on a man who don't love you. If he doesn't love you, like I should say, in love with you, have that connection with you. That's a lot. That's asking a lot.
But like you said, with our vows, if you're married, you said, for better, for worse, through sickness and health, till death do us part. So if it's not going to be cancer, you have to know that one day that death is going to be the sole separator of you both. Whether it's cancer, it could be a car accident, it could be something else. So you have to understand, some way, somewhere, some form of fashion, it's going to happen to one of us. So going through that journey, making those memories, making that time, and knowing that you're living up to your vows and doing what you said that you were going to do, that's some of the most respectful thing that you ever can do for your partner, for your wife, for whoever that it is, whether it's family, friend, or foe.
I agree. The gentleman I was with did not want me to do the treatment. He was like, no, don't do that treatment. That treatment is going to kill you. Do not do the treatment. And then when I decided to do the treatment, he was upset. And so I had to beg him to come to my appointments. I had 16 rounds of chemo. He came to the very last one. I'm like, look, dude, this is my last chemo appointment and I need you to be here. Like, I need you to be at this appointment. He came to the appointment. He was on his phone the whole time at the appointment. He wasn't even paying attention to me. But somebody else, one of my mentors was there. So she was keeping me company with. He was in his own little world on the phone, wasn't even paying attention. When I had surgery, he didn't show up for the surgery. I didn't see him till like a month after I had surgery. Like,
Well, I was gonna say, did he know something maybe that you didn't know? Like, I have two different. I've seen it from the holistic view
he's
with people
Muslim.
not taking treatment, and I've seen it from the other view with people taking treatment. Did he
He's
have another
Muslim.
view maybe that he saw and he didn't want you to take treatment, or he just didn't want you to like lose all of the
So, yeah.
what you had?
So the position that he was in, in the public eye, when we was out, I always had to be at the top of my game because we around people, you know, celebrities, people. And so, you want to have eye candy on your arm. You don't want nobody on your arm that, she going through cancer, she got a bald head, she's losing weight, her fingernails are turning dark. She has no energy. She can't even keep up with that lifestyle anymore. Like, no.
But
Like
it's
I
but it
said, they
just
love me.
becomes to that. But it comes to the point where it's not about the lifestyle because these are just overcoats of what we call flesh. So what's underneath is what we need to focus on, the good heart. Because again, like I said, y'all could have got married at 20. By the time that say you're 60, you're not going to be looking the way that you were when you was 20 years old. You might have been out there looking like a stallion at 20. Now you turn 60 and you're looking like a Clydesdale. So you you gotta pick and choose. You really gotta think ahead about this thing, of people, especially you're gonna pick up as you get older, you pick up weight, it becomes much harder to lose the weight because you can't do those things that you used to do. You may try the gym, uh, but but that's one of the keys of continuing to be healthy and beat this thing. You need to exercise. You need to eat healthy. And by that time, all this good food that son came out, all these cooking shows and stuff, man, forget about it. And then COVID happened. So we got old age weight, we got COVID weight, we got all these different things. So now what? You don't got that style, So now what are you going to do?
True. I totally agree. Kenya says added stress. You do not need that. You don't need added stress. I totally agree with you. I agree. Did I read this? Angela says if you're dating someone for some time, you should be able to tell them that you've been diagnosed with breast cancer. The key word is you've been dating someone for some time. That's the key word. Yeah, you should be able. You should be able to, once you talk to this person, y'all have some conversations, you should be able to get a good, okay, yeah, I think I can tell him, you know. And again, if they run, they run. If they don't, they don't. That's just a less stressor down the road. Angela says that is one weak individual, if you ask me.
I agree with Angela.
Like I said, the guy that left at the beginning when she first got diagnosed, I'm not mad. Go, because I don't need to be stressed out while I'm about to go through this, wondering where you are, why you're not supporting me, and I don't need that added stress. So I would rather you go and allow me to do this, allow me to build my team to support me. But I don't know. That's just how I'm thinking. So, because you got to think about this. That's your life. This is your body. You're going to go through that treatment. You have to make the decision. I had to make the decision for myself. Even though he didn't want me to do it, I had to make the decision for myself. What am I going to do? And that's what I did. And then I talked to my doctor about it. So it was another girl diagnosed with the same diagnosis. I think she was 33 at the time. I was 43. And we had the same treatment regimen. So she decided not to follow through on the treatment. She passed away. So that was the time God had set for her. But I was just like, what? So, I had to do what was best for me because he was going to keep doing what he was doing regardless of what.
Did you ever did you ever think back, like, with her not taking the treatment and she passed away, like, if I would have listened to this fool, that could have been me?
Yeah, and I don't know why she didn't. I don't know what her reasoning was. If maybe she was doing something different, or I don't know what, because the doctor never said. I just know that I prayed about it. I prayed about it, and I'm like, God can heal me through the medicine. He can heal me through the doctors. He can even though these toxins are going in my body, God can still heal me through this.
Mm.
So yeah, and that was just a chance for me to let God work. So okay, Kenya said, I have talked to several women, and they have said that they were either married or in a relationship, and their mate left because they said they could not deal with her going through chemo and radiation. They claimed the smell. Oh, what? The smell was on what, which made them sick. Oh, they claim they smell was on them, which made them sick. So the smell from her going through the treatment, they could smell it and it made them sick.
No, I think
What?
the smell of chemotherapy, the smell from chemotherapy. Like, I know, talking with my wife's doctor, they wouldn't allow the children in there. They said one of the reasons, like, the smell from, and there's different chemos,
I never
but the
smelled
smell
it.
of the chemo, yeah, the smell of the chemo would make them sick. But I still say that's an excuse.
I never smelled it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe because I'm probably, I don't
I
know.
mean, I think maybe
Yeah.
because your senses
Yeah.
was a little, it become a
Yeah.
little diluted, so you wasn't immune to what
Wow.
others smelt.
That's
But
interesting.
yeah, there is a smell, but listening to them, like, it's not like how they're describing. It's not like, you walk into, like, the jerk chicken hut, and you can smell the chicken being cooked, like that. But you walk in there, you can smell the
She said the husband said they smell
you
like
it's like you
chemo.
can smell the sick, like, you can smell the key, you
Yeah,
can
I
smell the
agree.
chemo.
Yes. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So yeah, that wasn't my issue. because because during my treatment, we were very sexually active. Like that wasn't the issue. Like I didn't have any issues with that portion. He just didn't want me to do the treatment because he didn't believe in the treatment.
So did you feel as though, even though you were sick and you just came from chemotherapy, and you didn't have the energy, that you still had to fulfill your boyfriend at the time, with sex and going out and doing all of those things? Did you feel like uneasy and bothered by what he wanted, or was it in your mind like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do?
No, I told him, and he knew, and especially like everything I was going through, because trust me, he was a Virgo, so he was really particular about stuff, right? And he would, point out stuff. Like he would see different things my body would be going through, and he would say, I could see that you're doing this. I could see that the body is doing this, right? And so I didn't have any, like I said, I didn't have any issues with that, but I felt like, dude, I just had chemo today. And my doctor said we had to wait at least, what, 24, 48 to 72 hours?
2 days, like 2 days, yeah.
Let it pass through my body. Like you could be sterile from this and not be able to have any more kids. Like, you know, he didn't care about none of that. He was just like, yeah, them doctors don't know what they're talking about. He didn't care. I was like, wow. Then he made the comment to me, this is why in some countries or some religions, men can have more than one woman. So when that woman is not up to performing her duties and she can't, then the man doesn't suffer.
Well, you know what's funny? I was looking at the show last night on Stars called The Serpent Queen, and the cousin Okay, so what happened? The king died, and this other guy became king. He's married to this woman. The cousin end up with the husband because she said all the wife is for is to have kids. Meanwhile, he's putting all the attention to the cousin and not his wife, and she just felt shame, and she just felt like obviously it couldn't happen in our times because any other black woman would be like, what you doing with my man? Blah blah blah, and people would put him up, and you had to put the pause on. But it was just funny that you said that about the other countries because really it's a true statement.
I was just like, what? But then it didn't surprise me because, he's Muslim. So, I was just like, okay, that's what you want to do. But I'm concentrating on my healing right now. I'm not concentrating on that. So that's, yeah. So yeah. So eventually, once I got done with treatment, I think I took my last radiation in November of 2014. Then we ended up breaking up New Year's Eve. So yeah.
I mean,
Started
but
my
it almost sounded like he stayed with you through until the last one, but he was there, but he wasn't there
yes.
through that time.
Yes.
So after I mean, the hair, like everything was gone. You had to certain.
He trimmed my hair when I needed like my hair trim shaped up. He would trim it.
Oh no, I mean I understand. Like I said, I've said many times on this show before. I did whatever it was because my wife, she felt like she was very unpretty, and I still loved her the same way. If she wanted something done that's going to make her feel good because she didn't have no hair, hey, I drew the eyebrows on for her because they wasn't there. I drew them on. Um, Hair, she had a little peach fuzz, and it eventually grew, and she had a nice little style to it. It was nice. Actually, I like rubbing the head. It was something. I just never thought that I would be in that position as many times as I would hear about it. I didn't know much about it. And the only way for me to get through it was to go through it. So that's where, like you said, a lot of men nowadays, we got men who's wearing skirts in this day and age. We know that. There's a lot of, see, I can't say it without saying, because this show is PG-13, but there's a lot of men who are being female dogs that's out there. And they need
I
to
call
take
him
them skirts off and stand up like a man.
I call him male.
That's who you chose, and you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah. I really do commend you for being there with your wife and going through it because what you've done for her as she was going through it, knowing that, my man is still here. My man still is complimenting me. My man is still saying that he finds me attractive. He still loves me. My man is helping me put myself together every day before, if we got to go outside or go to a doctor's appointment, he's going to make sure that I'm looking presentable. Like that does a lot for the person's spirit. And she probably stayed around long. You probably helped her live longer just by feeding her, feeding her spirit with that. Because, some people will give up. They like, don't nobody love
You're right.
me.
But
Why?
that's why you need that partner and the people around you that's surrounded by you to help you keep pushing and to help you keep going. We had to go to a doctor's appointment. Okay, what do you want to put on today? Let's get this out. Let's carry you down the stairs. Let's place you in the truck. I would run downstairs, open the car door, open the screen door, pin it so it will stay open all the doors and walk downstairs. So I just had a straight shot right to the car, put it in there, go back, lock up, go to the doctor's appointment, going up into the thing. Hey, I need a wheelchair or whatever. Bring it out, roll in, let her do a chemo or whatever it was where we was going. Even if we went to the grocery store, she wanted to go. Just the point of getting out of the house and not just laying there with the idle mind. Because we all know idle minds, you just begin thinking like, Could this be it? Could this be the end? And as you yourself, Lady Rochelle, said, that cancer is not a death sentence.
I always say it's an awakening to live your best life. Once you have had cancer, you need to be living your best life after that. You really do.
Every moment counts.
Yes.
Every minute, every moment, everything counts. You ain't got no time for no stress, no drama, none of that.
Yeah. Kenya said, but if that's your husband, what happened to death do us part? Why is it only accountable for women? Why is it only accountable if it's a woman? Because we crazy enough to, because we take our vows. Somebody said we take our vows seriously. We do. We really do. And for women, I could just speak for women, for myself. We tend to like try to exhaust every measure with our partner before we walk away. So when we walk away, we know, okay, I've done everything. I can walk away and have a clear conscience because I'm not going to double back.
Well, I can actually say, as a man and as a husband, I can honestly say I didn't fulfill all of my vows, but I definitely did 8 out of 10. Definitely did 8 out of 10 of them. And staying and sticking, truthfully, I was just bonded to my wife to the end. There was no separation. There was no time because, again, you never know. And with her condition, and I know because when the doctor came back and gave his diagnosis of what he thought would happen, which is like 2 years, I told him, no, you're not going to tell me in 2 years that she's not going to be here. So I began to do all those things, like what I said, to make it feel like it was just another regular day with just a little slowdown because we had to do this and we had to do that. That was it. Everything regular. We laid in bed. We watched TV together. We watched our favorite shows. I went down to the kitchen. I made food. It got to a point where she wasn't eating whole food, and I came up with something. I had to start giving her baby food, and then I had to start feeding them. So day by day, I watched the process just go down lower and lower and lower, and I still wasn't tired. I still was, even to this day, if that was the situation and she was still here, I would still continue to do those things.
Wow. Angela says a real man is not going to walk away, and it all depends on how that man was raised.
Right. How he raised and what he saw. That plays a big, big part in how men treat women. What did he see? I was fortunate enough to have both of my parents in my life. So all I knew was no matter what happened, you stay together. You take care. There was things that my mother didn't want to do because my father was calling the name. But again, my father was up there in age where, his mind was just playing tricks on him.
Yeah,
no matter what.
He was in his 80s too, right? How old was he when he passed?
He was 88.
Wow.
Coming from 1922. Served in World War II, had different other wars that he was in. Again, seeing things that he saw back then. It's crazy. At least now we have we have a faster track on trying to get a cure. I still believe that the cure is out there. They just don't want to give it to us because of big money, big pharma, want to collect on it. But if they can find a vaccine for COVID just like that, not even a year, then they could do the same thing for cancer, which was like the number one killer next to heart disease.
You're right. I mean, if they do, kids are gonna roll. I know they're working on something for like triple negative, a vaccine for triple negative, and they're so close. So I'm hoping that something comes out of that. And I think maybe once one happens, then the other one will kind of like fall into place, and they'll be able to say, okay, we got a vaccine for triple negative. Okay, we got a vaccine for HER2 positive. Like it'll just kind of fall in.
Yeah, matter of fact, a company called Biogen, they just announced that they now have the solution for Alzheimer's.
Wow.
So yeah, their stock went up like $100+ that day when they announced that. Because
Wow.
I'm quite sure we all know somebody with Alzheimer's.
I want to take a quick break, you guys. This is a perfect time to highlight my sponsor, which is Paula Kelly with Allstate. She's located at 327 East Glenwood Lansing Road in Glenwood, Illinois. She could be reached at 708-758-3300. And she's specializing in all of your insurance needs from auto, home, and life for quality insurance and agency with integrity. So make sure you let her know that Warriors Talk sent you. We are live on Intellectual Radio. This is Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell. Co-hosting with me today is Rizal Gilmore, aka The Biz, and we're talking about regaining intimacy during and after a cancer diagnosis. And we have been talking about how you need someone to support you when you're going through a cancer diagnosis, and how important it is to make sure that the team that you put around you is going to be there for you to support you. And if that person does not, if you find somebody in your team that doesn't want to be there, trust me, you got to get rid of them right away. You got to separate your main team. You know how you have the starting people, you have your starting lineup, and then you have your bench players. So you have to, when going into it, don't feel bad if you have to bench somebody. And it
Right.
may be somebody that's your best friend. It may be somebody that's really close to you, but they can't accept the fact that you're going through it. And so they are a hindrance while you're going through it. That's a stressor. The last thing you need to do or be is stressed.
Well, here's a question. Do actually women, do they actually regain intimacy? Because even think for your, and I'm just using you as an example. This guy seen you when you were down and he left. Did you ever think like, I mean, I get another boyfriend? Do women, they become discouraged? I'm not pretty enough anymore, or I don't look the way that I used to get. I'm never going to get anybody to say anything. I'm not going to get the construction workers whistling at me anymore. So that could definitely break a woman's spirits, or, you know, break a heart, or something. Do they actually even regain intimacy? They might just be going along just to, get through it. But deep down inside, there's definitely has to be some questions to the back of their head.
Oh, it's definitely some questions, especially if you have scars, especially if you have body parts removed, and or if you had reconstructive surgery and you had to get nipples tattooed on or nipples put on where there's no sensation in those nipples, like, and even if you had to like maybe getting a hysterectomy, like things that you had to get removed, and you feel like sometimes you feel like I'm that was my woman part. Sometimes you feel like I don't even feel like a woman, like, because those things made me feminine. Those things made me a woman, because when people look at me, they see those things and they identify me as a woman. Now, without these things, sometimes you don't feel whole, and I feel like it takes, for me, it takes God to make you feel whole, to let you know that even though you have these scars, even though you had to go through this lumpectomy, this mastectomy, even though you had to go through these things, you still are who I made you to be. That's it's what's on the outside, really. If somebody loves you, they're gonna love you to your core. And like you said, as we get older and you start gaining weight, your hair start turning gray. Like, the person you with that loves you to your core, they not going nowhere. They're not going nowhere. They're gonna be right there with you as those changes are happening. So yeah, you do feel this sense of, wow, I'm not worthy. Nobody's gonna find me sexy. One of my friends has an organization called Cancer Can't Stop Sexy. Like, you have to make up in your mind that, you know, cancer it was a chapter, but it's not the whole book. And, you know, I'm here. So it's only up from here. Where I'm at right now, it's only going to go up. God didn't make a mistake by leaving me here. So I'm not going to allow, if one person don't find me sexy, I'm not going to allow that to just totally destroy me. because there's going to be somebody out there that's going to understand what I've been through. They're going to be able to
Right.
identify with, oh yeah, my mom went through breast cancer too. And they'll be able to tell you, oh yeah, I went to treatment with her and this and that. They'll be able to make that connection with you. And then they'll have this sense of not pity for you, but they'll understand you and be able to treat you, gently, and give you the things that you need because they saw somebody that they love go through it.
Why do women don't want anybody to feel sorry or have pity on them when they're diagnosed with cancer?
I would say because cancer is not all of me. Hey, Lisa, cancer is not all of me, right? This is for some of us, this is again a chapter that I'm going through that I have to fight through. And so don't look at me like, oh, that's that cancer patient. That's the girl with cancer. No, this is something that I'm fighting right now, and it's temporary. And once I'm done fighting, I'm not gonna say I'm getting back to myself because they always say, you have this new normal. But I just think because other people make you feel a certain way, right? And again, men are visual. Some women are visual. So if you was this person that looks nice all the time, you had a nice body, every time you go outside, somebody is hollering at you. You all day, men hollering at you. Then you go through this cancer diagnosis, and all of that is stripped. That could be a blow to your ego. It could cause you to shut down. It could cause you to, now I'm in this different bracket because the men that I dated at that time, you don't qualify for those men, right? You're in a totally different bracket now. It'll be based on the way you look, based on what you've been through, which is sad. So again, you got to find somebody who understands that diagnosis, maybe has somebody who they love that went through it and they can identify with you.
Because now it's to the point is what you see is what you get. You either going to take it or you're going to leave it alone. One of the two. Either you're going to be happy with me of how I am and who I am and where I am, in this thing called life, or you can just stay exit left now and just don't even give me the heartache,
Exactly.
don't even get me all riled up that something is about to happen and you don't understand. And like you said, the only people who's going to understand what you're going through is somebody who's been through what you've been through. That's why nobody can tell you nothing about you and what you dealt with or anything, because the first thing they say, oh, my mom or my friend did that and they did this and X, Y, and Z. Their journey was different than your journey. So they may have some things, but it doesn't make you like this because only you can understand you. They don't understand you and what your thought and what you're going through and, all different type of things. And like, I know for me with my wife, there was always the what if, called the what if syndrome. What if I don't wake up tomorrow? What if I don't get a chance to see my kids, my grandkids? It was always those things played in her mind. And, even though she told me some, but not all of it. But I know she was constantly thinking that thing like, oh my God, I'm going to die. So it was my duty and job to help her. No, you're not going to die. You're going to live. And I'm not listening to the doctor either, because you surpass everything what the doctor said. So I don't know if it was because I was pushing you through, but there's only one doctor who got the final say.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Okay, Angela, you're going to have the last comment as we wrap up. Angela says, if they haven't walked in your shoes, there's nothing a person can say.
Exactly.
Don't tell me how to fight cancer if you've never done it. Don't tell me. Don't give me nothing. No. And if you haven't studied it, you're not a doctor and you haven't studied it. Don't tell me.
Ask them, how do I get my nails back to the color? Because the chemo is turning them dark. Tell me how to get my energy back, or I got to keep eating ice because it's drying. how do I get my hair to grow back and all these different things if you know so much? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So as we wrap up, Rizal, be thinking about some words of wisdom, about 30 seconds worth. I know you got it in you. I want to read this real quick. So how do you rebuild intimacy? So I'll go through it really quick. Number 1, give yourself time. Number 2, communicate with your partner. Number 3, make the necessary changes as you're going through the cancer diagnosis. Number 4, validate your feelings as well as your partner's feelings. Number 5, get reacquainted with each other after the diagnosis. You know, you may be two totally different people going, coming out of it. And number 6, experiment with each other. So those are some of the ways that you can rebuild intimacy. So Rizal.
Wait a minute. We had numbers and we didn't even touch number 1.
We didn't go through none of that. We didn't go through none of that.
We didn't go through
none of it. None of it.
I was about to, look, we got a whole nother, that's an hour right there.
I know, we didn't go through it. That's okay. I need to wrap up within the next minute or so. So Rizal, I need some words of wisdom about regaining intimacy during and after a cancer diagnosis.
Don't let nobody tell you about you. That's it.
That's powerful. All right. All right. I will leave you with these words of wisdom. Join me next Monday at 6 p.m. right here on Intellectual Radio. Cancer is so limited. It cannot cripple love. It cannot shatter hope. It cannot corrode faith. It cannot eat away peace. It cannot destroy confidence. It cannot kill friendship. It cannot shut memories out. It cannot quench the spirit. It cannot silence courage. It cannot reduce eternal life. As always, thank you for joining Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell. Co-hosting with me today is Rizal, aka The Biz. Warriors Talk is changing lives one warrior at a time.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell. To find out more about Warriors Talk, follow at Warriors Talk, the number 1, on all social media outlets, and Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell on YouTube. Please join us next week and every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on intellectualradio.com for Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell, where we encourage, educate, and empower you into action.